Welcome to our Sunday webisode, and I'm delighted to show you some new things from Paper Discovery. Now, Olga, and her last name I'm going to mess up, but I think it's Dereknikov, is from the Ukraine. This is manufactured by Practical Publishing in England, and we're showing it to you here in the U.S., so very international today. Heidi's done some wonderful projects, and we'd love you to come play with us. Well, as you can see, the packaging shows 4 of these room dividers. It's called a room divider die set. It says on the package there are 4 dies, but I'm here to tell you there are 6. So here are the 4. There are 2 tall pieces, and then there are 2 inset pieces, this trellis and then a floral. And then there is a straight edge so that you can use that on these pieces or use them separately. And then there's another one that has a very tiny scallop on it. So I count 6 of them, just so that you know. Now, what can you do with them? Well, take a look. It appears from what Heidi has done, you can do a lot with these. So let me slide this over. And here is a card that she's made using the arched piece, and it's also using the floral piece, and then I think the straight piece on top of that. So that's what we have here. So it arrives like this, but she's done 4 of them. She's also backed them with vellum, really, really pretty. And she's used the Floral Fantasy Artful Card Kit. So that's where these die cuts come. So let me just turn this around so that you can see. And as I said, so she's got her greeting in the back, or her message. And I love the fact that it folds flat. Very nice. Now, that crinkling, are you hearing the crinkling? That's because she backed each of the pieces with vellum. Now, Heidi used a set of vellum that has 3 designs on it. So there is a dot, there is a heart and dot, and there's also a swirl, and you get 3 sheets of each one. So that just works out really nicely. And I think backing them on the vellum just adds another really pretty touch to them. Now, she also thought that you could stand this up and put a votive light in it. So of course you'd want to use one that is battery operated, and just put that inside and you would have another look going on. So that's really nice. Now, how to construct this? Well, Heidi has provided me with several pieces, so let me show you the steps. The first step is to die cut. She die cut this piece, and she had the trellis inside, or the flowers inside, and then this, she did not use that piece. So it goes like that. And you can see that there's a flap on one side right there. Now that flap allows you to connect them together. And her recommendation is to use the extra sticky tape. Now that's really going to be important, and as you know, this works beautifully with anything that moves or boxes, anything you really want securely put together. So this is 1/4 inch, and it's extra sticky tape, but it's also an extra big roll, so that's nice. So you take them, and she did a second die out of pattern paper. Now this is another of the papers from the Floral Fantasy, and you connect those 2 together. Why? Because that makes it extra sturdy, okay? And you do want this to be pretty sturdy. So if you did it only out of the pattern paper, it would be a little more flexible. Heidi chose to put them together. Now, you can use the one that everybody loves, which is the Cosmic Shimmer clear glue. That works beautifully. You can also use the sticky specs. So let me show you how that works. I did this probably a month ago, and this is just really fun. You get 4 of these A4 sheets, which, as you know, is about 8.5 by 11. And so you take one of the pieces, and I will take the paper and lay it onto the sticky. Now there are micro dots on this, and you lay that down, put that on top, and then press it to get the adhesive to adhere to the back of the cutting die. Really like these for intricate cuts. It just works really nicely. Now the specialist glue will also work nicely. So just giving you another option, and it's kind of fun to see another product. So just lift it up. As you can see I'm doing here, it is super sticky. And I'm making sure that I'm lifting off all of this very delicate piece, okay? So I'm just going to do a little extra to make sure those leaves pop up, because not all of them are attached to something. So bear with me a moment as I make this work. And if everything, there we go. So you can see they're just lifting right off. Okay. And here we go. Now, if you have anything that pulls off, that one little piece did, you can simply just place it afterwards. So you want to match them up. And this stays repositionable for a little bit. And just place it right on top. And there you go. Just tap it down. All these little bits and pieces. And that's a little piece I left. So I'll bring that over. Slide it down and position the other piece on top. There we go. Okay. Now, where you want the extra sticky tape is on that flap. Now, the flap has a score line, so that's going to eventually be folded. So you want to make sure that you're putting the extra sticky tape right along that fold on the outside of it. And then you're going to position this to attach to one of them that does not have the flap. So, and that's going to go on the back of it. And you just want to make sure that they're even at the bottom and at the top, so that you end up getting your all of your pieces linked together. So that's going to work very nicely. And as I said, Heidi did this one, but she did another which is really pretty wonderful. And she did let it go to be a room divider. So look at this. So she's done 9 of these and just made this extra long one as Houston keeps pulling back. And she's done this out of 2 papers, and you can see that she's alternated them. So the one paper is the red heart holographic, and the other is the gold. So you can see that. So she's just alternated them as she's gone along. Now, what might you want to do with this really pretty piece? Now, it can sit on the middle of a table, backing things. I brought a couple of things in, and I'm going to try to show you this without spilling water all over. So I brought some daisies from my garden. Actually, these grow wild on our property. And I thought this would be pretty just as a little screen to hold these flowers. How pretty is that? And you could also take one of the cards, and let me see. The card is right here. I'll show you how to do this later, but wouldn't that be pretty? Just kind of as a backdrop. So just some ideas that you might want to use. And Heidi has provided us with instructions for everything, so they're all in the gallery. So, and she has done some heart dazzles at the top. Those are not in stock at this very moment, but they're on order, so they'll be here shortly. And I just think that's really a fun look. And this is using the trellis die. And she did it the same way with that same arched larger piece, as you can see, and just die cut them out of white and used her 2 other papers to back. And I love the idea of letting them alternate. So great idea. And of course, this stands upright very, very nicely. Okay, 2 ideas. Now, Heidi has done another And look at this. She has used the Little Birdies Artful Card Kit, but she's used the panel, that same panel that we've talked about, this time just using the square piece around it and using it on a gatefold card. And doesn't it fit perfectly? So really nice. Now, gatefold cards, as you know, you just take your card, lay it out flat, and bring the outside edges to the center. Don't let them overlap. Just bring them to the center, cover them with your paper, and take anything. In this case, she's used the foil die cuts and brought them and glued them just to the left flap so that your card can open. You do always want to back the inside because there's going to be a score line there, so you want to cover that up. But isn't this pretty? Now, she also added the red ribbon set, so you can see that that's going on right there. So beautiful. So that just enlarges what you can do with this thing, this die set that's called Room Dividers. Look what you can do. You can make wonderful, wonderful cards. And of course, the trellis is going to do the same thing. So that works nicely. Now, what else did Heidi do? Well, she used yet another Artful Card Kit, and this time she only used the little scallop piece, and she cut the layer right there and matted it, and then she used the room divider that is not domed, so this is a straight one. And she cut 2 of these to make this cute little card. And the card measures a little over 2 inches by a little over 6 inches. So it has this little bit that stands up, so the mannequin is really cute there. And just open it like so. Now this is the Ooh La La Artful Card Kit, along with the magenta and dark pink ribbons. So that just really tops it off, don't you think? And she's used the Tiny Words and Phrases Dazzles Just a Note. So just a really sweet, sweet look. Okay, let me see what else this woman has done. Okay, so that's going to take care of this first set of dies. Now we're going to go into the Cherry Blossom and Lanterns. Now this has 17 dies, 17, and look at them. There's such a variety of images here, and let me show you what our Heidi has done. So first of all, she has taken those lanterns, so both this scallop and the lanterns, and she has them right here on the Romantique papers. She's also done the flowers, the little blossoms down there, and as we get in closer, thank you, Houston, you can see she's done them out of papers, but she's also done them out of vellum. So she's added more vellum to that. So really nice. And then she took the gold ink out of the Cat's Eye Basics and just spread a little bit onto the lanterns. Now let me show you how she did this. So I've got several die cuts here. Here is that scallop at the top, and here are all those lanterns, and she cut them out of the pattern paper and then inserted the lanterns into it. So they're really nestled right in there very securely. Now, of course, she did this on the Romantique papers, not just the cardstock, as I'm demonstrating for you. And just really, really, really nice. Very, very pretty. And she's added the 500 script greetings for her message. And of course, the jewel dazzles. And then on the inside, she's taken one of the lanterns and threaded it through a 1/8 inch strip of ribbon. And she's hanging those from the fold of the card, and then added more messages. So really nice. So that's just a lantern and this piece and the flowers. Okay, what else is there? Well, let me show you. Okay, here is that domed piece. So she's combined these together, and she's done the spray of cherry blossoms and the lanterns all out of our gold metallic paper. Now this card has 3 sections. Look at that, how pretty. And how pretty to use these on top of the pattern paper. This is Buttercup, and isn't that just lovely? I don't know that I would have thought of doing that, but I'm glad that Heidi did. She backed 2 of the lanterns on the Buttercup paper. And then again, the tiny words and phrases dazzles, thinking of you, live, laugh, love, and you're the best. They're really kind of going around the flowers on those papers. Now here is another card that's using the birds that are in here. And look at this, I showed this to you briefly earlier. And she has used the cutting dies, as you can see, and she's done white one and a black one, and then let the black be the shadow. So it's offset. And then on the inside of the card, there you go. You make my heart flutter, really nice. Now, to show you how Heidi got this beautiful background, I'm going to bring in my craft sheet, and I'm going to bring in, of course, my white cardstock. Now, I'm going to tape it down because I don't want it shifting on me. And I'm also actually going to tape down my craft sheet. So now that's crooked for you, so let me get this fixed so you're not looking with your head at an angle. And the sheet that is right here is 4 3/4 inches square, but you can see I've got more space, and that's because I want to be able to make those swoops. And let me show you what Heidi used. These are luster polishes. Aren't they gorgeous? And here is what she's got. So lemon sherbet, tango teas, and raspberry sorbet, of course. And as you know, with the luster polish, the applicator comes right on the lid. So let me just pop that out. You do want to wash this out when you're done, so that's important. And then just open up the jars. There we go. And we're going to, now normally when you're doing luster polish, you dip in your sponge, and then you really get a lot of it off in order to make the project work, okay? Now, in this case, I'm not sure that that's going to be 100% effective. So let me just start the swooshing. Okay, so I'm getting a light color, but I see that Heidi got a little bit darker. So I'm just going to go over that again. I'm not globbing on the luster polish, but I am just making sure that we get a nice swoop. And I want to make sure that it's going to cover an area of the cardstock that I want. So now's the time if you want a little extra to get that on there. Okay. Now I'm going to set this aside. One thing you always want to do when you go to put the lid back on is take your mister, your spritzer, and just one or two little sprays of that. That way the luster polish will not dry out. So for the second one, we will bring in our tango teas. Whoever named these did a brilliant job, by the way. And going to do the same thing. Now with luster polish, you're getting that shimmer and a rich, rich color. And that's one of the differences between this and other colors. Okay, so I'm letting that go over the first row just to make this swoop. And I'm probably going to make this a little bit thicker. Okay. So you can see that they're blending just fine. And same thing, spritz and cover. And we'll go into our lemon sherbet. Now, because you've got an applicator for every color, you're not contaminating anything, so that's always important. And the last one. And that just has a little bit of the yellow, at least on Heidi's. So let me, there we go. Bring it in. Oh, pretty. I think I'm going to let it stay a little bit away from the orange, just so that I don't. So actually, it might have been good to let that dry a little bit. This is kind of my doing it for you so you don't have any problems. Although I will say that Heidi has them kind of blending pretty well, so I'll just do that. Get a little bit more in that upper corner, just so that we've got it. Now mine is swooping pretty much. She's done a little more blending, so you could go back and decide if you want to have that add more color. Now one thing I do want to tell you is that Heidi did this twice. So that's another reason for watching the webisode before you go back to do it, is that you can watch this. You notice, so you want to do both of them probably at the same time. So this one has more of an oval in the yellow, but the other two are just coming down. So less of a swoop and more of just a slight angle. So nice to see and beautiful with having those geese and offsetting the shadows of them. And then her last card is also combining these. Now this time she has used the Gumdrop Artful Card Kit. Now the reason that she uses the Artful Card Kits, as you know, is that they're going to have the die cuts, they're going to have the papers, they're going to have cutout greetings, so everything is there. Now this time she has gone back to her dies into the lantern, or the room divider, and she's used the little one for her paper. You can see that micro tiny edging. Houston, can we get in to see that? It's really very delicate. There you go, right there. And then she's got a plain one, and then this one is the die without the arch, so it's the straight one. She simply cut off this side flap and made this into a multi-card. So let's look inside, and you can see where she's used the die cuts on the front. We've got an open page here and another. Very fun, congratulations and celebrate. And then another with the stripe going across, and another wish cake and happy for you. Now also she has used the cherry blossom dies on top of her pattern paper again, and really, really nice. Now I hope you're seeing the sparkle that is on all of these cherry blossoms. She's done this throughout the piece, and that's using one of two things. Now Heidi used Crafter's Companion glitter pen, and this comes like this in a set of 3. You just pull that off, and there is the brush, and you just brush on that clear glitter. There is something else from Crafter's Companion, and it's an ink, and you simply brush this on with a paintbrush, and it's kind of pearly looking too, as well as sparkly. So that's, you can kind of see the pearl right there. So that's another way that you can get that look. You do want to make sure that you let that dry before you close up your card. But isn't this fun? Again, measures a little over 2 inches, little over 6 inches. So I think Heidi has done a magnificent job of showing us how very versatile both of these dies are. And altogether, you're going to get 23 dies if you get both of them. Beautifully, beautifully done. You can see some of the items that were used down below. If you're seeing this on YouTube, be sure to go over to paperwishes.com, because we put these together in a money saver. Might as well save you some money. And we really appreciate your being with us. And by the way, I want to tell you, this is a Paper Wishes exclusive. We love that. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next Sunday.